Now at 6, the search for an intruder who broke into a wildlife care facility, likely letting several birds loose.
Just that they were going to involve federal wildlife officials, as it is a very serious federal wildlife crime.
Plus, how Portland's Central Library is stepping up security.
I saw 2 security guards there earlier. At least I saw 3.
Also, despite deals made, some Northwest lawmakers continue to criticize President Trump's tariff agenda.
It's already killing jobs and dragging down economic growth across the country.
And later, how one local school district worked with students to start the year with no phones allowed.
One of the things we heard loud and clear from students was, you need to be able to trust me to make the right decision.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Christine Pitawanich. Our top story here at 6, staff at a wildlife rehab center are hoping you can help them identify the person they say broke into enclosures and likely allowed several birds recovering from injuries to fly out. Our Celine Stevens has the story from Northwest Portland.
After midnight Thursday, an intruder broke into the enclosures here at the Wildlife Care Center at the Bird Alliance of Oregon, not only causing property damage, but harming multiple birds that were still in recovery.
They may not survive out there.
9 birds now missing from 2 outdoor enclosures prematurely released by an intruder who was caught on security cameras.
We're missing 5 American kestrels, 1 crow, and 3 northern flickers. So if anybody hears of anything, or particularly with the small falcons, if anybody is offering animals for sale, we need to know about that, and so do wildlife officials.
That intruder still hasn't been identified, according to the Portland police. 1 American kestrel is believed to have been killed by a predator after a pile of feathers was found at the base of a nearby tree.
So these animals were not ready for release. It's very dangerous for them to be out, and before the rehabilitation officials, our staff have gone through and decided that they're fit.
Some of those birds had only been in their care for a few weeks after suffering injuries. The Bird Alliance of Oregon's Wildlife Care Center treats around 5,000 animals a year at their facility. Some, like this man named Mike, visited Friday, bringing in an injured bird he found.
It's a sad situation that people would mess with a bird that's helpless, defenseless, can't take care of itself. Why? What's the point? It's senseless.
This counting as a federal wildlife crime, according to Travis Coons, the Wildlife Care Center director for the Bird Alliance of Oregon.
Unauthorized removal of protected migratory birds from rehabilitation involves Migratory Bird Treaty Act, also the Lacey Act. So these laws exist to protect wildlife from harm, especially when they're vulnerable and in care.
The Bird Alliance of Oregon is very dependent on donations, so anybody who wants to help out can either donate in person or online on their website. In Forest Park, Celine Stevens, KGW News.
To downtown Portland now, where Multnomah County's Central Library is making some changes to try and stop criminal activity around the building. Those changes coming 1 month after a person was shot and killed across the street. Then a patron pulled a knife on someone inside the building. Our John Adams joins us live downtown. John, what changes are we talking about here?
Well, Christine, most of the changes are focused on security, including an increase in security personnel. Now, according to the library's website, 3 contracted security guards have been added, bringing the total number to 7. Security perimeter patrols around the building will also be going up. Public Wi-Fi access will now be limited to the hours the library is open. Library Director Annie Lewis says the library and county leadership are reviewing current safety protocols, including recommendations made by PPB. Now, all of this comes after a back and forth between County Commissioner Megan Moyer, the City of Portland, and Portland Police. In a letter last week, Moyer called on Mayor Wilson and PPB to do more about crime around the library. PPB says enforcement has increased over the past year, but blamed any shortfalls on staffing issues. Mayor Wilson said the responsibility of library safety ultimately falls on the county. Now, we spoke with a library patron earlier who believed things are getting better. She added the steps in front seem to be less crowded with people than before.
In the past I would say, a few weeks and maybe months that it's cleared out a bit, and I don't hesitate to bring the kids down here or to come down even on the bus.
Well, the library director and the county are still currently reviewing some of the safety protocols currently in place and say they could revise those or change them in the near future. Christine?
Yeah, hopefully people start feeling safer downtown near the library. Thank you, John. Now let's get you caught up on some of tonight's headlines. The area around the Burdoyne fire on the Washington side of the gorge is now under the lowest evacuation level. Crews say the fire is now 90% contained. Officials are dropping closure orders for most recreation sites. Dry leaves, though, are dropping from destroyed trees, and that is raising the risk of a fire starting back up. So people living in that area are being asked to keep a buffer around their homes. And U.S. lawmakers, including Representative Maxine Dexter from Oregon, are asking the Trump administration to address what they're calling the humanitarian catastrophe unfolding in Gaza. We reported yesterday local group Mercy Corps has pallets of aid ready to distribute, but they say they've been blocked from doing so. The letter to the Trump administration urges the federal government to increase aid to Gaza and ensure the safe and uninterrupted delivery of food, water, fuel, and medical supplies. Also, a cougar has now been spotted multiple times in Corvallis. Someone first took this picture of it yesterday after it killed a deer and buried it under a porch near Northwest John Place and Sunview Drive. Then this morning, people saw the large cat in the same area under a porch. They say it then jumped a fence. Officials want people to keep an eye on small pets and kids. Wildlife officials are monitoring the situation. Sightings can be reported to the local non-emergency dispatch number. In Washington, some new traffic equipment is in place to stop what the state is calling a troubling trend. There's now a camera specifically designed to detect wrong-way drivers at the 179th Street exit ramp on I-5 in Vancouver. If it spots a wrong-way driver, lights will flash as you saw, and if the car doesn't stop, an alert then goes out to Washington State Patrol so they can stop them. If you like to visit Oregon parks, prepare to pay more money. Oregon Parks and Recreation says come October 1st, fees are going up. That means at 21 state parks, you'll now have to pay for parking. The increase includes places like Tryon Creek in Southwest Portland and Crown Point in the Gorge. Overnight camping rates will also rise at the 29 busiest parks starting next summer. The department says the money will help maintain current service levels. Okay, let's get to your weather now with Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino up on our weather deck. Matt, a gorgeous day out there. I see the sun shining on your face, sunglasses on. Wow, looking good.
Yeah, it'd be hard not to have sunglasses on out here. The sun is very bright. Great breeze out of the north-northwest, keeping things comfortable, and hardly a cloud in the sky. I can see some way to the north up over southwest Washington. But it is a beautiful day and a great time to be up here on the Rick's Custom Fencing weather deck. All right, let's check out the numbers that we had today. It was a warm one, warmer than the last couple of days. There's the Wells Fargo sky cam. We are currently sitting at 84 degrees in Portland. That's not our high for the day. We'll have those numbers for you a little bit later on. But I want to point out our change in sunset times as we go through the month of August. Welcome to August. Today being the 1st, 8:38 tonight. By the 6th, though, that's our last 8:30 or later sunset. By the 25th, that's our last 8 o'clock sunset. And at the end of the month, sunset has receded to 7:49. So enjoy the last full month of summer, even with the long days that we still have. Now, we've got thunderstorms again over central Oregon and eastern Oregon, mainly over central Oregon, just on the lee side of the Cascades. That's where they're really firing up. Some of those have become severe. We'll be tracking those, and I'll show you the rainfall amounts later on that we've gotten in the last 24 hours. Really impressive rainfall. But for us, sunny and warm on Saturday, a little cooler than today. We'll drop a couple degrees, not a lot, just a couple. And then mainly cloudy on Sunday morning, a little cooler. We'll get some breaks in the afternoon. And we've got the potential for some showers next week, Christine, right here in Western Oregon. More on all of this a little later on. Back to you.
Yeah, got to enjoy the sunshine and warm weather while we've got it. Thank you, Matt.
Sure.
Developing today, a Gresham police officer pleaded not guilty to more than 50 charges of sexual misconduct involving an underage girl. Thomas Schultz was in the courtroom for the arraignment.
In court this morning, Gresham police officer Hector Carranza stared vacantly ahead, saying nothing to the judge. in his first court hearing since being arrested Thursday afternoon. Carranza is accused of rape, sex abuse, and using a child in a display of sexually explicit conduct, among other charges. He's been with the Gresham Police Department since 2014 and is now on leave. His own police department began investigating Carranza after receiving a complaint last year. Now, he's got a rap sheet of charges against him. The Multnomah County District Attorney's Office says none of the allegations against Carranza involve his history as an officer or any criminal investigations he was a part of. In a statement, Multnomah County District Attorney Nathan Vasquez said, "Nobody is above the law. When a police officer breaks it, we have a duty to hold them accountable, just like anyone else." This morning, the judge ruled Carranza will be held in jail. His next hearing is on Monday. In downtown Portland, Thomas Schultz, KGW News.
This is probably the biggest deal ever reached in any capacity, trade or beyond trade.
President Trump signed an executive order on tariffs just ahead of his self-imposed deadline today. It includes agreements with major partners like Japan, South Korea, and the EU. Those tariffs range from 10 to 50% and are set to kick in next Thursday. But Washington Senator Patty Murray criticized the tariffs. Tim Gordon joins us now in studio. So, Tim, what did the senator have to say about all this?
Well, Christine, Senator Murray continues to call out the tariffs as taxes on American businesses and consumers. She had some business leaders join her this morning to talk about the effect that the tariffs have already had and the danger the latest round has on the American marketplace. From HDG Building Materials based in Vancouver to Seattle-based Wajimaya, an Asian grocery chain which imports a lot of its products, the message was the same. Tariffs are not good for their businesses or their customers.
A tariff is in effect an import tax. It is paid to our government, not by China, not by Japan, but by importers here in America. And while these fall especially heavily on companies like Wajimaya, tariffs affect all grocers.
There is no good reason for us to be picking fights with our trading partners, and especially our close allies like Canada and the EU. There is no good reason for us to let Trump raise taxes on families. There is no good reason for us to let Trump bankrupt small businesses.
Murray says she'll continue to push Congress to, as she said, assert its authority to roll back the president's tariffs. She called on Republicans to stand with Democrats to do that. The reality is it can't happen without them. Murray also pointed out that Washington is especially hard hit by these tariffs, with 40% of jobs in the state tied to international trade. Christine?
Tim Gordon reporting for us. Thank you, Tim. And we've got some exciting news. The KGW School Supply Drive has officially kicked off. We hope you'll help send local kids back to school with all the supplies they need. One of the best and easiest ways you can help is to give online. Just go to kgw.com/school and click Donate Cash. When you give online, you'll also get a Columbia Sportswear Employee Store Pass. Yeah, what a win-win. We want to thank On Point Community Credit Union, Safeway, and Rick's Custom Fencing for everything they're doing to make this year's supply drive a huge success.